Quickly take you through the agenda, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. If you don't know, my names are Shadia Nhwari Shenaz, and I am with UNICEF Rwanda, and today, together with ALX and the team at the Skills Office under Ministry of Public Service and Labor, we're going to be supporting you all to table your ideas, table your thoughts on how we can support young people in these 6 sectors, and later, after the summit, continue to spreading this work across all the other sectors. We have a platform called Ingazi, which is going to be a very key tool in disseminating this information. For those who have internet, please feel free to look it up. It's www.ingazi.ra, and this is a platform that offers young people with skills that help them understand what they need to know when they join the workforce. So you want to be in finance, helping you to understand what are the different avenues that wait for you in finance, for you not to study for something that is not in demand on the job market, but to help you know exactly what employers are seeking, what investors are looking to see in a business idea and a concept, so that you can come up with these ideas right ahead of time. So I'll quickly take us through the program for today. And to start with, we will be having a keynote speech from the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports from Cabo Verde, Honorable Carlos do Canto Monteiro. He will be joining us shortly to offer the keynote speech and set the tone for us to have these fruitful discussions today. After that, we will invite our colleague from ALX, Nimi, to come deliver a presentation on the future of work. We know that times are changing, and they're changing fast. We're moving into a digital world where, from the comfort of your home, using your computer, you're able to acquire skills, get a job, run the job, do great, get paid, all using your laptop or mobile phone. So as we move from the analog world into the digital world, and using tools like ChatGPT and all these others that are at our disposal, how do we leverage these resources? What do you need to know? What are the skill set required for you to stay on top as these emerging trends continue to grow? And then after that, we will then invite our team at the Skills Office to help us really understand what it is we're trying to do here today. I'll invite my colleagues Rashmi and Mike to take us through the how, like they put it today, the how, the why, and then what happens after. Following, we'll have the group discussions where each group will have facilitators walking you through these discussions. We'll give you some time to really table your ideas. Today we have people from the academia, we have the private sector present, we have policymakers present, we have young people present, and the goal is for all of us to understand that there's no career pathways that are not informed by all these different perspectives. We need the young person to come and say, this is my experience. I was asked to have this experience when I applied for a job. And for you to table this so that the HR specialist can then recommend the course you need to take or the training you need to get that capacity an employer wants you to have. And then the policymaker to table ideas on, from a policy perspective, what is being done, what can be done, and what angles we can take. And then all of us coming together to basically share these ideas and come up with at least 10 occupational profiles for each sector. After that, we will then have a quick break to just tone all of that down. I know this is going to be quite an intensive session, and then we will come back to share all the findings from the groups. We'll have a chance for all of us to reflect on what has been developed in each group and to share our reactions, and then after that, we will wrap up our session, and it will be closed by our colleague from the Chief Skills Office at MIFOTRA. And that is the Ministry of Public Service and Labor. We're so used to acronyms, but having colleagues in all parts of the continent, we'll try to make sure that we're not using abbreviations so that we're all on the same page. So I'll end here, and I'd like to invite our guest speaker. I think all right, so in the meantime, I'd like for all of us to just take a quick 5-minute break to maybe interact a little bit, and then we'll invite our guest speaker to open the session before we can move to the other presentations. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to the Honorable Minister from Cabo Verde, Honorable Carlos do Canto Monteiro.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. All protocol observed. I would like to acknowledge, of course, all the young people here and also the private sector responsible for industries here, the people from academia and all the stakeholders that are here today to talk about such an important matter that it's going to build our present and, of course, our future as well. I was asking yesterday to deliver his keynote speech for today's sessions, this workshop. And I want to thank for the opportunity, but also to say it's going to be very brief because I'm going to share with you some of the concerns that we also have in Cape Verde, has the government, but also the people in education and the people in private sectors and academia as well. We are talking here about a platform that I think is launched in a very few time, or I think it's going to launch some courses and it's going to provide young people to the Ingazi platform. It's going to provide young people with the tools to be better prepared for the market, the labor market. But also these sessions, I think the main goal here will be how we're going to answer to the questions if the educational system that we have into different countries in Africa, if the educational system is prepared for giving the young people the right tools so they can do the transition from the education to the labor market. That's a big issue in all of the country, I think, not only in Cape Verde. But that's the questions we need to answer. Because if we just wait for the moment that the people are in transition for the labor market, maybe we're going to fail to prepare them with the right tools so they can do this transition well. This platform that we built is going to provide tools for that transition, is going to provide course of training, vocational training and so. But I think we need to talk about the educational system since the preschool. How are we going to introduce international language also in preschool, not only in secondary school? Because we need young people that are going to have soft skills, they're going to have how to communicate, how to work in a team, but they're going to also have to know different cultures, different environment, because the future might be working in the territory of your country, but or in the territory of another country, in the continent, or working worldwide. You don't know. For that, you need to know language, know other cultures, know other environments, so they can allow you to be competitive, however is the sector that you embrace. We also need educational system to be very focused on matters like when you talk about data literacy, digital marketing, cloud computing, cybersecurity, but also how to reinforce the soft skills. I was talking about collaboration, but I can also talk about problem solving, about the critical thinking. It's going to be essential in the future when we talk about AI. We talk about a lot of professions that's going to be substitutes by AI, but we still have, I think, this path that young people can make a difference by being better persons in problem solving, but using your brain to critical thinking to solve problems. I think this is the things that you need to invest in, and it cannot be done if you do not do some reforms in the educational system. I have two children, a boy 6 years old and a girl 9 years old. Especially the girl that is now in 4th grade. My concern is if what she's learning in the school, it's appropriate for the world in 15 years. I don't know for sure. We have experts here to work with you. So maybe in the end we can give some tips to answer these questions. But I think this is the main concern, this is the main question that we need to answer. For those like me that have children, most of you are too young to have a 9-year-old children, I guess. But for the people that have children, ask in your house these questions. When you talk with your children, when you see the curriculum they have in the schools, are that curriculum the right one to prepare them for a world in 10, 15, and 20 years? If not, something must be done. I think in Cape Verde, we are doing some efforts so we can have a better educational system. I think we have to stop to look at the ranking, but if you look at the ranking, you're going to see Seychelles, Mauritius, Kenya, Egypt. You're going to see Cape Verde in the top 10. But we cannot let that be some illusion for us, because we have to do the home studies to see if the disciplines are the correct ones, if the curriculum itself is the correct one, and how we're going to prepare the young people so when they finish high school, secondary school, the platforms like Ingazi can really have prepared young people so they can help them into the marketplace. I think that's the main question that I want to share with you today. I look forward to the conclusions that we're going to make in this work session, and I hope I can be here at the end to hear from you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I think we all can agree on everything that he said, because the challenges that we face here in Rwanda are the same that are faced across the continent. Young people are very eager to learn, very energetic, but they're not offered the resources they need in most cases. They do not have early access to career guidance. They do not understand how to get to these visions they have, which are generally labeled as quite ambitious. None of these are ambitious, especially in today's world where we have AI and all these revolutionary technologies that are here to support us in reaching to these visions. So I'd like to start by just a very quick icebreaker for us to open and warm up to this discussion. I'd like to invite any 3 volunteers. Maybe let's have someone from West Africa, one from South Africa, and one person from East Africa come to the stage. Any random volunteers? Thank you. So what we're going to do is we just want each of them to share with us an experience that is personal or from their community on what they would say are the main 2 challenges young people face as they're transitioning from school to work. This is going to be a really interesting exercise to see what are the different perspectives and what are the similarities between all these challenges. So we'll start with you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Munaziri Rugamba Kevin. I'm a Rwandan, and I'm currently an Isomo scholar. Isomo program is a program that is working under Bridge to Rwanda here in Rwanda. So I was blessed to be in Isomo program because I had my eyes wide open to a variety of aspects that are around the world that my community is not seeing. For example, the breakout of AI. A lot of people actually in my high school, I would use ChatGPT to answer my homeworks, and that would break the academic integrity until in Isomo, we were taught that the AI is not there to think for you, but it's there to help you think. However, that made me think back to the community where I come from. Like, in what aspect do we value AI? In what aspects do we think AI? So one of the main issues that I see my community is facing that we need to address is they know artificial intelligence, but there are two different words that are here in the same word. Because right now in the US, they are going back to restudy the AI, to restudy the process that is in there between, like the process, how is it developing the learning language that is embedded in the AI, while we are still thinking that the AI is there to become our brains. So one of the main issues that I think we are facing in my community is awareness to international programs, not just being aware to the local programs. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Daniel Kariuki. I come from Kenya, and I have an interest in creative economy and a bit of finance. I guess the biggest challenge that I have seen in my community that young people face while they transition from school. Number one, I think it is because of the mismatch between the skills that are being provided in our institutions and the demands that are there in the job market. Number two, on finance, I think we have a challenge on young people who come out of school accessing affordable credit to start businesses. We've been having conversations in my country on what we can be able to do in order to cure the problem of startups, for instance. Do we need to impose the same tax provisions as we do for businesses that have been there for years? Do we need to give a break to some of these businesses that have not broken even, most of which are started by the young people? I think that is a conversation that is so common to, I believe, most of us in this room. And yet, even within the African continent, the conversation right now is about how African countries can be able to access credit or funding from these multilateral institutions in a more fair way that is not going to hamper them into debt. So I believe the biggest challenge that young innovators, young people who want to get to agriculture, agribusiness, financing is a huge problem. And I think it should be at the center of our agenda at all times. Thank you so much. Asanteni sana.
Hi everyone, my name is Frank Kumsin. I'm from Ghana. So I serve as a youth sounding board member for the UNDP Ghana. And currently I am under training for a web development program by MEST Africa, Generation Ghana, and MasterCard Foundation. So two things that I think young people face, or the challenges in my community. One is lack of mentorship. So we go through the education ladder. When you are done, you are too ambitious. You don't know what to do. You know, sometimes you even want to venture agriculture. You want to venture business or entrepreneurship, but you don't have anyone to mentor you. You do a lot of mistakes, but if you had a mentor, I mean, they will guide you through the right path or channel. So I think mentorships, it should be made available for young people who want to start their businesses, want to venture any other career path. And secondly is rural-urban migration. You know, most of the programs and opportunities are centered in Accra, in the capital city of Ghana. and they don't go to the rural areas. So most of the youth are driven to this to Accra, and it is causing a lot of problems, housing issues, criminal issues, and a whole lot of issues that some of them end up being in jail, some end up committing suicide, some end up not finding sustenance and all that. And it's a really big challenge. Even as a youth sounding board member, engaging with some of these youth, you get to realize how difficult their lives are becoming. So I think we should look at how we can push some of these programs to the rural communities, so they don't have to come into the capital city and the whole place will be choked and don't have anything to do. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I think we can all agree again that from the three speakers, we hear access, 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 and skills. And these are the cross-cutting problems all throughout the continent. Young people do not have the skills that they are required to have when they join the workforce. So a young person is going to school, as the minister stated, they're performing well, they're getting the good grades, and once they go to the job market, they're being told that you do not meet the criteria. So where is the gap? What are they missing? How can we support them? And through this is how the Ngazi innovation and idea came up. We're working with different private sector partners and industry experts to come up with content that covers what we need young people to know when they join their companies. So banks are giving content that say, for you to join our company, these are the basic skills you need to have. This is a basic course you need to take. The hospitality company is saying, this is only bare minimum for you to join our company. And so now young people will get the privilege to join these companies with the confidence that they have the skill set which is required. It puts them in a better position to negotiate packages, to grow from one point to another, knowing that they meet the skill set that is required for the job. The second thing is on mentorship. This is something very crucial, and for anyone to grow in their career, you need to have mentors who help you, people who have walked the path, who tell you how it can be done, who encourage you, who motivate you, because you're entering into a new and unknown world. So that guidance is really crucial for a young person making that transition. The Ngazi platform is a multi-stakeholder platform where different players are linking what they're doing. So those that offer internships are linking them there. Those that offer jobs are linking them there. Those that offer capital and grants and have competitions for young people to access funding, to start up businesses, it's all being linked there. So now, instead of having to scroll through 1,000 platforms, you have one platform where you'll be able to access all of this. And through the work you're doing today and more work which will be done after this summit, we're working on coming up with these career pathways that help young people understand in each sector what are the different occupational profiles, what jobs are there, what is in demand, and helping them match their skill set to these criteria that we're going to be developing today. So I would not like to keep you guys waiting. I know there's a lot of anticipation and excitement to get to these discussions. So I'd like to invite our colleague from ALX, Nimi, to come tell us about the future of work, where we're headed, and to help us really get our heads wrapped around this whole future of work thing, what skill sets are required, and telling us how we can help young people make that jump into the future. So thank you so much. A round of applause for our colleague, Nimi Shailon.
Thank you so much, Shadia. Can you guys see me? I'm a little bit short. Can you see me? All right, my name is Nimi Shailon. I work with ALX, and also ALX, we are based here in Rwanda. And I would like to, first of all, acknowledge Minister who just joined us. Thank you so much. We are very much honored and privileged to have you and also other protocols observed. And another thing, every one of you from Rwanda, from West Africa, from East Africa, Murakazaneza, Muraho, welcome, bienvenue. Okay, so I was thinking about skilling and also thinking about how do you get future-proofed? And I was like, before we talk about future-proofed, it's very important also to go back in time. And I remember when I was young, some of you your age, a little bit younger, I was very much scared about the future. I did electronics engineering, and when I was doing electronics engineering, this is the time that we were doing C++ when we were learning how to code. I graduated in 2015, and the moment that I graduated, the whole world was using Java. After that, few years, like in 2018 or 2019 or 2020, there was a huge rise of Python. Mind you, I pay my tuition fees, I went to school, I did what I needed to do, correct? But again, my degree was obsolete. In fact, what I learned in university was no longer relevant. Imagine you spend 4 years learning how to code with C++, you graduate, and then the whole world is using Java. After that, fast forward, it's Python. Like the minister said, how can I make sure that my young daughter is also prepared for the next years to come so that she can still be relevant? Are we actually making sure that the young people are being prepared for the world to come? So, to be able to do that, I was like, how do we get ready for the future? It's only better if we actually go back and think about the world of our grandparents, the world of our parents, and the world of now. Imagine the people in 1960 or 1970 when they first heard about robotics. Imagine the people in maybe 70s when there was a rise of internet. How do you get ready for these emerging technologies? So how careers have changed, and really what prompts these careers to change? For you to be ready for the future, you need to look at these trends. And there's no right or wrong answer, or anyone who's coming to tell you in 2030, there's going to be an invention or an emerge of XY technology, so make sure you study so that you are ahead of time. No. Whoever would tell you, they'll be lying to you. So how do you get ready for the world of tomorrow? But before we do that, let me take you down the memory lane. Who can tell me what is this? Because you guys are staring at me, making me shy. So I would like us to have like a very engaging conversation. Who can tell me what this is? Yes. A telescope. Any other takers? Minister? No. Let's go back to the first. What is this? This is the first industrial robot arm that was invented in 1960. This time, it marked the dawn of automation, meaning that a lot of people that were doing the labor work in doing manufacturing literally lost their jobs once this was invented. Does that make sense? So the moment that the robotics emerged, it literally created automation. A job that used to be done by 1,000 people can now be done by one person. And this was invented in 1960s. And then we go back. Who can tell me what this is? You guys. Any takers? The guy in the blue. What do you think this is? No? Actually, this is the first picture of the first invented computer. It's called LGP30, one of the earliest vacuum tube computers. It was invented in 1960. It weighed more than 800 pounds, which is around 400 kgs, and it also had the size of a desk. But the moment that this was founded, I need you to understand that this was the rise of something new, something that changed the world. All of a sudden, the data can be processed. The data can be stored. All of a sudden now, there is a new era of data processing, which actually moved us from only, the business of goods. Now we are into the business of information. Does that make sense? And this actually emerged in 1960s. All right, overnight, the people, this just like 800 pounds, the size of a desk, once it emerged, it created a lot of jobs. But as it created a lot of jobs, a lot of people also lost their jobs. No one prepared them that all of a sudden, in 1960s, there's going to be an emerge of something big, something that is going to change the whole world. And again, after years, each one of you, you have a laptop in your bag. From being the size of a desk to being the size of what? Of a notepad. Now, do you understand how scary and also how exciting the technologies, the emerging of technologies are? Can somebody tell me what this means? What prompts you? This was in 1970s, the first mobile phone that was invented. It was during the Motorola event, and people used to call it a brick. This was the first phone that was invented. And after the invention of this phone, everyone was like, okay, this is huge. This is going to change the world. But guess what? This weighed more than 30 kgs, costed more than $30,000, and it took 10 hours to charge it, and you only talk on it for actually 30 minutes. But it changed how we see the world. It created new opportunities. Now, all of a sudden, the customer experience jobs took another turn because I can call you and ask you how you are. You know, new jobs were created. Customer experience jobs were created. Does that make sense? Now, new deals, I can call somebody. I don't have to take a bus to go and meet somebody. I don't have to send someone to deliver certain notes, right? I will just pick up my phone and then call you, and then that's it. No one prepared the world of 1970s that there is a guy maybe in their cave working on a mobile phone. And then in 1970s again, there was then the born of internet. That's when the internet was born. And this changed the entire world and how we see things. All of a sudden, what happened, we can now be able to know what is happening in the US. All of us actually followed up the recent elections in America. Before then, in 1960s, you would not be able to actually know. People used to think that, okay, if I live in Uganda, then that's Uganda. Uganda is my world, there is not another word. Now the internet emerged. A lot of businesses emerged. People can do business together by just jumping on a call or by just like exchanging emails. All of a sudden, it took another turn, right? But no one prepared them that overnight, there is going to be the rise of internet. And as these technologies are emerging, jobs are being created. New jobs are being created. New skills are being demanded on the job market. But guess what? As the new jobs are being created, also some jobs are being what? Lost. And then in 2000s, this is the word of most of you Gen Zs. There was a rise of smartphone and social media. And then with that, the world then changed completely. And then 2020, we had AI. But AI was even here before, but it was when there was now a huge rise of AI. With AI, you are required, like seriously, usually like in 2018, it used to take me 30 minutes to write an email, especially to my boss. Because I needed to make sure all the dots are in place, I needed to make sure the English is Englishing, knowing so well that English is like my fourth language. But now, writing an email, it takes me 30 seconds. I would just draft what I draft with a lot of and then I put in ChatGPT, and then I give it a prompts, do this and that. Then a job that used to take 30 minutes take me 3 seconds, meaning that AI allows people to be more efficient. Does that make sense? But from that, a lot of people lost their jobs. Because if it used to take 30 minutes for me to write an email, then me responding to 8 emails, that's like 4 hours. Then my boss needed to hire more people to work with me. Right now, I can work with a team of 9 and would do a job of 90 people. How amazing is that? Meaning that if you are more efficient in using AI tools, you are needed on the job market. But if you don't know how to use AI tools, you're already obsolete. Nobody needs you. Right. Are you excited or you're scared now? So imagine what's coming in 2030. Think about 2060 from now. Think about the new technologies that are going to emerge. Are you ready for them or not? Do you really think that you are ready to compete with people that are on the same level as you? Because it's going to be a bloodbath. But I don't want you to be scared. Before we talk about the hope, I wanted to talk about the jobs that did not exist 20 years ago. That nobody thought that these jobs will exist. Never in my wildest dream, I would think that just someone with 20K followers would just have a makeup, be like, hi guys, so today, I'm gonna show you how to apply Fenty, and then this person will get paid 10K just for 10 seconds. Social media influencer, telemedicine specialist, no one literally saw this coming. Cloud architect, virtual assistant. You can now become an assistant of someone living in the US when you're on the continent. VR design. These are the jobs that no one saw them coming, but as the technologies continue to emerge, these are the jobs actually that came with these technologies. And these are just like to name a few. And we can also talk about the jobs that are becoming obsolete. We all know that. But I'm not here to talk about those jobs. But you all are thinking about right now, if I studied XYZ, am I really needed on the market? Because I've never used my degree, by the way. I've never used my electronics and telecommunication engineering degree. I cannot even code to save my life because life is tough, you know? So another thing as well that we need to pay attention to is like 90% of data in existence today was created between 2021 and 2023. And this is where it becomes a little bit now serious. Because what you know today will become irrelevant tomorrow. The tools that you're using today are literally the tools of yesterday. Last year, actually, I bought my iPhone this year in January. Already in September, there is 2016. The phone that I'm using is yesterday's story. Does that make sense? What you think you know, someone else has invented something else that is beyond it. So, my question for you today is like, how can you get ready for the world of tomorrow using the skills of today and leveraging the tools of yesterday? I want us to take a minute to let this marinate. Are you ready for the future? How can you get ready for the world of tomorrow using the skills of today and leveraging the tools of yesterday? It's a reflection. Think. Don't look at me. Do you have an answer? Anyone who can maybe share what we can do as the African generation? And another thing that I want you guys to pay attention to is most of the time as Africans, we are like, oh, in Chinese, they're inventing XYZ. Of course, we're going to copy-paste that. Chinese people are solving for Chinese people. Does that make sense? The Chinese solutions are solving for Chinese problems. Mind you, right now, if you go to China, their automated system that do face recognition will not recognize your face because you're not Chinese. Do you understand? So we need, as young people, we are the best bet that our African continent has got. Are we together? We need to start being creative. We need to be ready for the future. We need to be ready for the future so that we can we can provide African solutions for African problems. So, no one knows what's there tomorrow. And to be honest with you, I'll be lying to you, telling you that I have a technology ready for you, that you guys are going to study, and you'll be ready for tomorrow. But I have good news. I'd like to introduce you to ALX, where we actually provide skills that are needed for you to be ready in the next 40 years to come. All you need, you do not need a degree. Your degree is needed because the the person that is going to hire you will ask for your degree. Let no one lie to you that, oh my God, you don't need degrees. Oh my God, you need to go, guys, to schools, okay? But whatever you do in your degree, whoever you think you are, even if you're in medicine, you need to have 7 meta skills that are going to make sure that you are ready for the world of tomorrow. The minister said it. You need to have critical thinking skills. Learn how to look at the data and evaluate solutions for decision. You need to do quantitative reasoning, evaluate data and make decisions. Managing complex tasks, entrepreneurial thinking, very important in this African continent. Looking at problems, but also seeing them as solutions, right? Just don't say, oh my God, something is not working. What do we do? No. Something is not working. What can I do to solve for something that is not working? Do you understand the difference? Our president always mentioned that, no, look at problems, but also find solutions for such problems. Don't always complain. Communicating for impact. I'd like to talk to my Rwandan people here in the house. It doesn't matter how brilliant you are. It doesn't matter how you are so good at that coding or mathematics. If you cannot clearly communicate what's in your head to the people around you, your skills, whatever you know is obsolete. Does that make sense? It does not matter. Unless if you are the best software engineer and you write codes, but you will still be on that job for 15 years when a certain Zach is actually a marketing and keep rising and all of a sudden Zach is giving you orders on what to do. Communicating for impact is very important. Learn how to talk to people. Learn how to present facts. And then leading self and leading others. Leadership skills. Very, very important. With these skills, plus your degree, my darlings, you are ready for tomorrow. Are we together? With these skills, plus your degree, you are ready for tomorrow. You might be saying, Nimi, that's not true. Let me tell you why. Because once you have these skills, you have something that is called learning how, like you have a mindset that allows you to learn how to learn. Let me repeat that again. In this world, for you to be ready for the future, you need to learn how to learn. You are on the job. There is a new technology. Learn how to learn so that you learn that new technology and you can become relevant in the future. Does that make sense? You need to learn how to learn. Once you have critical thinking skills, you can look at the data, you can manage complex tasks, you can communicate for impact. You have something in you that is called learn how to learn. At ALX as well, it's not even about the skills, but it's also about the mission. Because we are solving for the African continent. We teach you how to declare a mission for your life. You select one challenge, you select an opportunity, and then you merge it with the mission. And then you use technology as an enabler, as a tool to work on this mission. Mission is forever. Whatever you know, the technology you know today will become obsolete, but your mission is forever because you're solving for the grand challenges and great opportunities that the world needs. And then, so our mission is to transform Africa by developing 3 million entrepreneurial and ethical leaders who can solve our biggest challenges and capture the greatest opportunity. If there is one thing that I want you to take away from today is Africa needs you. You are the best bet that we have today. It's either we make it as a generation or we actually mess it up. Does that make sense? It's either we make it or our children or the grandchildren will be like, oh, our ancestors actually messed us up. And we don't want that to happen. So at ALX, we make sure that we are creating entrepreneur and ethical leaders of tomorrow. And how do we do that? We make sure that we are teaching you, sorry, I need to go back. Can I go back? Almost done. We make sure that we are teaching you not only the how, but also the why, right? So what we are doing here is also the learning journey teaches you the why, not only the how. How you learn is literally project-based. It's like you are it's like your own job. You're not cramming facts and figures. We'll give you projects, you work on them, and then you submit these projects. And this is not only at ALX. Any other school that is not teaching you any project-based cases, you are wasting your time. Because at work, they don't tell you, oh, memorize this and then come tomorrow and then deliver it at work. No, you need to work on projects by leveraging on the skills that you have, by learning how to learn, okay? So if I want you to take one thing today, if there's anything that I want you to take away today, is one thing. Whatever you are doing, however you're doing it, if you want to be ready or to be future-proofed, I would like to encourage you to literally learn how to learn. In everything that you do, read a lot of books, all right? Read a lot of news. If there is an emerging technology, make sure you are keeping posted. Take all the courses that are available out there. You know, enroll into ALX, go to Ingazi platform. These are the platforms that are there to make sure that you have the skills needed for tomorrow. But at the end of the day, know that Africa, literally, the only thing, the only bet that we have at the moment in 2024 is you, young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amy. Can we please give her the round of applause she deserves after that beautiful presentation? I think all of us have either interacted directly or through our peers, families, friends, how there is a standard that is out there that we all have to meet, whether it's in terms of digital literacy, knowing how to leverage all these tools that now exist, whether it's in terms of soft skills, as highlighted by the minister. Do you know how to communicate effectively? You have learned all this theory in school, but can you apply it in the workplace? Or did you just cram the book? You know, do you know how to escalate conflict? Do you know how to manage conflict? Do you know how to manage relationships with colleagues at the office? Because beyond the technical skills, these are the challenges we're facing. These are the things that are keeping employers from hiring young people. So as we dive into these discussions in the next couple of hours, I'd like for you to think beyond just the technical skills, because soft skills are really crucial in having a successful career. You need to be able to communicate, you need to be able to write. There's a survey that indicated many employers from a part of Africa not wanting to hire young people because of something as simple as you need to train them to use basic tools like Gmail and Outlook. You know, whether you're in the military, whether you're in business, whether you're in a corporate setting, you will need to send that email. And these are skills that young people sometimes are not learning in school, and they're being asked to know when they join the workforce. So how do we help them know all of these different soft skills plus the hard skills that they need to know as they transition into the 6 sectors we're going to be looking at today? So ladies and gentlemen, please help me give a very warm welcome to Mike, who is going to be setting the tone for the discussions today.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And good afternoon, everybody. Very good to see you. As Shadia says, I'm going to start introducing the session, which is the rest of the afternoon, working on some workshops as we understand career and learning pathways and occupational maps. But my task is to give you a little context. Why are we doing that and what are we trying to achieve? So I'm with and representing the Chief Skills Office, which is a part of the Ministry of Labour here in Rwanda. And the Chief Skills Office job is to first understand what skills are needed in the workplace today. And as our colleague from ALX mentioned, that's increasingly not just the hard skills, like engineering, but how you communicate, how you use numbers, your numeracy, and how you solve problems in a digital environment. So it's about those skills that are needed. The Chief Skills Office also looks at how those skills are developed within training establishments, universities, colleges, schools. And then it also worries about the thing that we're thinking about today, which is how you connect schools and universities with the world of work, how we help people find a career that inspires them and gives them a livelihood and helps them to see their future, and then how they make their choices to be able to find their way into that career. And if I can give some Rwandan examples about why this is a very important question. Rwanda is an exciting country at the moment. It is growing very fast. So it has an economy which is growing at something like 9.8 to 10%. And those of you that aren't students of economics, let me tell you that is extremely fast. So I come from the United Kingdom, and at the moment we are struggling with an economic growth of around about 0.6 to 0.7%. So that is less than a tenth of the pace at which Rwanda's economy is growing. So it's growing fast. And that fast pace of growth is generating opportunities. There are people investing and trying to employ people in Rwanda, and they are employing people into exciting jobs which have bright futures. But they are struggling to find people to recruit. So I think we did a survey this time last year where we found that there were something like 185 in-demand occupations, jobs. And those jobs were almost exclusively high-skilled. So they were the jobs that you need to have learned for some time, at least gone through college, maybe gone through university, and maybe have done some professional training as well. So very high-skilled jobs. And therefore, those are the jobs that people, you can't think about the job you want today and expect to get it tomorrow. This is something you needed to be thinking about 5 years ago. So the choices you need to make in order to get these exciting careers are choices that you need to make when you are in lower secondary and moving to higher secondary school. And the fact is that today, investors and employers are finding that there are too few people with the high skills, and in fact, there are rather too many people with low skills. So we don't have the shape of an economy that we want today in order to be able to exploit the opportunities, and people are not finding pathways into exciting careers at the pace which both they and Rwanda needs. Into that context, something quite interesting, which is less than 4% of people in Rwanda had access to good information about the careers available to them over the past 5 years. Less than 4%. So is it surprising that employers can't find people who have made the right choices through their learning careers if they weren't advised correctly? Now the platform Ngazi is a very important part of the picture about how we respond to that. And I also have a very personal thought on this, which is that I have 3 daughters. One of them is 24, one of them is 22, and one of them is 20. So a little further advanced from the Honourable Minister. I'm the next model in age of fatherhood. But 2 of their friends who I speak to a lot. One of them is a lady now who went through university. She wasn't completely clear what she wanted to do, so she thought she did something that she thought was sensible. She did economics at a good university, Exeter. She got a very good degree. She got a first. She never really thought very much about her career. And then a good friend of hers, a man called Arlo, did 1 week at university, realized it wasn't for him, and he dropped out immediately, a very big choice. And he joined an apprenticeship scheme as a part of a firm. And in the UK, you can do an apprentice where you work with a firm to learn your trade. And in fact, his apprenticeship scheme also leads to a university degree. So they're both doing degrees. Now, he got very good advice from his father about what he wanted to do, and he's now becoming a chartered surveyor. Now, the guy who did the apprenticeship and got good advice is currently, he's just bought his first house at the age of 21. He's got 2 tenants. He is better paid than pretty much anybody else he knows, and he's on a very rapid learning pathway to an exciting profession, which he really wants to do. He's very excited about it. Now, the lady who did very well at university and didn't think about a career at all is today serving tea to construction people on a construction site in the east of England. Not quite what she had envisaged. Don't worry, I have it in hand. I'm speaking to her on Sunday. I'm giving her a bit of guidance on how she can get her way. Because if you got a first in economics from Exeter University, you should not be serving tea to people on a construction site. We will sort her out, it's fine. However, it just points out the problem that arises if people don't have good conversations about the careers which are available to them and then make early choices about what they do. So, good careers advice has a very large effect, you know, a more statistical result than those two people I mentioned to you. We're finding in the UK that people who have good careers advice are anywhere between 10 and 20% more likely to be employed in an exciting career which takes them where they want to go. 10 to 20% is a very large percentage. The other thing, if there are any educationalists in the room, we're also finding that people who have good careers advice also do better at school, up to an entire grade point higher. So somebody who might have got a B in their A-level chemistry is now more likely to get an A because they have some idea where they're going and they know what that extra hard work actually means to them. So we are putting together a policy in Rwanda, policy, an agreement between lots of people who have resources, people who run training providers and colleges and universities, people who have access to young people to give them advice. A policy on career guidance, and the aim is that every single person in Rwanda will have access to high-quality careers advice based on a sound understanding of what the labor market needs today. And the intent is very high. People are very enthusiastic about this. It is going to happen. An important question, which is now coming down to what we need from you today, is this policy covers everything from how you give careers education to people when they're at school, how you help them understand how to navigate a career pathway, through to reaching people in schools and employment services across the entire country. The question is, what do we tell those people when we have reached them? And this comes down to career and learning pathways. A very powerful piece of information you can give people is the path, the stepping stones they need to get between where they are today and the job which is beginning to inspire them now. So if you were to look on, there is a very good job matching website in Rwanda called Job in Rwanda. If you were to go onto it today, there's a very well-paid job there as an HR, a human resources manager for a large international firm. So what do you need to do in order to be able to get that job? Well, you probably will have had a job as an HR associate for some 4 or 5 years before you were able to apply for that job. In order to get a job as an HR associate, you would probably have had to have had a degree in probably in business. You would have probably gone to University of Rwanda and you would have done a degree in business. And in order to be able to be eligible to go to University of Rwanda and get a job, get a degree in business, and if you are in lower secondary school now going into higher secondary school, you need to take a choice which includes probably economics. And in Rwanda, you choose 3 subjects which come together to describe your pathway. And you would probably go for something like history, economics, and geography, or maths, economics, and geography. And if you made those choices now, you are now on the pathway to becoming to be able to get that very nice job today. So that's an example of a pathway. And that's an example of a piece of information that somebody in lower secondary schools needs right now, today, as they're making their decisions about what they want to do in the future. So the purpose of today is to think about those career and learning pathways. It has 2 purposes. One is it helps everybody in the room to think a little bit harder about what that means to them and the people that they might be advising or working with. But it also has a very practical purpose to us, which is we want to take the information which you are talking about today and start to push it through the system and make it available to everybody in Rwanda over the coming years. So at that point, having given the context about why we are here and what we're hoping to achieve, I will leave you there and then hand over to my colleague Rashmi, who will take us through exactly how we are going to manage that over the next couple of hours together. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Since the time I've come in Africa, whenever I stand in front of these podiums, I'm almost hidden. So I could, when Nimi came and talked about being too short, I could immediately connect with her. But that's fine. I have a mic. So it's a very, very quiet gathering. How are we doing today? How are we doing today? Give me a show of hands. Are you good? Yes. I haven't heard. Are you good? Yes. Great. Okay, so, we had people come here. We had the minister talking about the importance of careers and the right skills and knowledge to be part of the labor market. We had some young Gen Z come and talk about the careers and the choices. And then we had Mike talk about the importance of career guidance, career planning at the right time with the right information. So what we're going to do today is we've talked about the what and the why. What I will talk about is how do we go about developing occupational maps and progression pathways. My area is a bit technical and I don't want people to sleep through, so my habit is I jump through tables and I ensure people don't sleep through. That's what I'll be doing today. Okay. Very quickly, the workshop objectives that we have today is that we are going to identify the occupational clusters. So if you see, we have 6 sectors here. And which is your sector? Loudly. Creative arts. Then we have healthcare, we have finance, we have tourism, IT. So for each of the, and we have these very bright young people sitting across in their groups. What we will be doing is quickly working through identifying within that particular sector what is the key occupations, key clusters. And within those clusters, we will talk about what are the key occupations. And when we pick out those occupations per sector, we will be developing 10 occupational maps along with progression pathways. It's a tall order, but we'll try to do our best. Okay, so what is an occupational map? How many of you have heard about an occupational map? Show of hands, anybody? Mike. Okay. Great. So I'm wondering, why you've not heard about progression pathways? Anybody? So clearly this indicates that you probably don't have the right access to career guidance. Because these are the buzzwords, and if we have had an session on career guidance, they would have used these terms any which ways. It's never too late. So what is an occupational map? An occupational map shows the occupations within a certain industry or a subsector or a sector. And occupational maps are visual representations that talk about the different roles, positions, pathways between a specific industry or subsector. And they actually provide an overview of what are the different occupations available. So if you're talking about tourism, what are the different occupations within tourism? It could be You can get into the front office, you could get into the events, conventions, or you could become a guide guru, or you can get into ticketing. So you see, the occupations are divided into different groups, distinct groups, which are put together through the skills, competencies, and knowledge required for that particular group. Does it make sense? Are you with me? Very quiet. Are you with me? That's better. So, and being where you are, you would want to know if you are today in an entry-level position, or you're about to enter the job market. Where could you take your career from today to, say, from an entry-level executive to, say, a manager or a supervisor, or maybe into a senior management position? So these occupational maps will actually give you a pathway of where you are today versus where you want to be. There's a specific path that you can take to get to your destination, reach your aspirations, and it should also tell you how you can get there. The skills, knowledge, competencies, the educational requirements, the trainings that is required, all that a good occupational map should be able to tell you. This is exactly how you can map your career. When we talk about a career map, a map guides you through one point to the other point, and that is exactly what the occupational maps are intended to do. And if you see, there's a sample pathway here, and I think Mike kind of talked about it. This is the example that comes from him. So if you're at a lower secondary school, you can go to the secondary school and then take secondary school. If you see, the pathways will not always be vertical or horizontal. You might have cross-sectoral connections where you can switch between horizontal job roles or even industries. But that's a big complex, so we will try to keep it simple. So if you see, you pass school, you get into university, you take an internship, and then you could become a food scientist. From there, you could get into become a food production manager. So if you see, these are all pathways, and this is just a sample. Now, I took this from the tourism and hospitality industry simply because I understand it better than, say, finance. So if you see, it has very distinct clusters. So if you see, the first is the tour operators, then you have the hotel clerks, front office, and then you have the chefs, and then you have administration, then you have the bartenders, the event managers, and then you have the academic line as well, because in the hospitality industry, a key career could be a training manager because it requires high level of training. So these are the different clusters and different occupations within the hospitality industry. Just to show you what an occupational map looks like. This is a more pictorial version of what a career map could be. So if you're in the high school, you're into reservations, or you're in the ticketing agent, you could become a tour guide or less than a year. Next maybe 2 to 3 years, you could even become a interpreter, translator, or from there, if you move, you see, there's a kind of a pathway there where you upgrade your skills, you pick up more training, more education, and then you map a pathway to reach the job of your choice. This is similarly, this is in the food processing industry. So you become from a food machine operator to maybe a meat packer to agricultural food service technician, food scientist, and so on and so forth. Typically, if you see, the occupations will have a certain hierarchy. So there's always an entry level, then higher technical occupations, professional occupations, and then senior management position, which is actually very logical. I mean, it's not rocket science. We all understand that there's a certain hierarchy of occupations as you move ahead. So entry level to supervisory roles to specialized technical roles. I took up an example of a food processing industry. So entry level could be, a person could be a food technologist. Then you move on to food safety officer, production supervisor, and then director of operations. That could be one of the pathways, or the other pathways. If you choose the cluster of quality assurance, you could become an inspector, officer, move to a specialist, and then to maybe the head of the department. So if you see the food production, processing, quality assurance, packaging, preservation, research, development, they are all distinct clusters within the food processing subsector. And within each of these, there's a different trajectory or paths of occupations, and these are not really mutually exclusive. So they're not only vertical or horizontal progressions, there could be cross-cluster occupations as well, that you could jump the clusters. Now this is how do we put in details for an occupation. So if we take the example of a production worker, what are the responsibilities of a production worker? What does he or she do? The skills required to be in that position, qualifications required, and progression. What could be the possible progression pathway for a production worker? Could be maybe how to become a supervisor. Similarly, if you see the responsibilities, skills, qualifications, progression, these are all required for us to develop occupational maps. And why do you think we need these information? Is it relevant for you to know? From where you sit as students, do you think it's relevant for you to know all this? Yes? No? Yes. Why? Somebody said yes there. Why do you think it's important? I'm not trying to put you on spot. Just speak. What is it? Why do you think it's important for a student to know about the responsibilities, skills, qualifications, progression pathways?
Okay, so I believe that it gives you some sort of direction, and you know you have a clear vision of where you are going. So you know from here, if I'm able to advance, I'll get to this level and all that. Thank you.
Perfect. That's a perfect answer. Thank you. So it's important for you to know, because if you want to map your career, you should know where you want to go and how you can go. What kind of skills, knowledge, expertise is required for you to reach from point A to point B. And that is exactly what we're trying to do today. We will in the exercise next, we will actually try to develop those occupational maps. Now, these are the kind of details we thought will be important to have in an occupational map. We have the job title, description, skills and qualifications required for a particular job role, education and training, what kind of training is required for that job. So if you're a technician and you want to become a supervisor, how can you become a supervisor? What kind of skills, qualifications, education, training, experience is required? And what could be your pathway? And professional development opportunities. We did a pilot. We worked with the agriculture. Where's the agriculture sector? Where are they sitting? Agriculture? There. Okay, cool. So we picked up, we wanted to do a pilot. We picked up the food processing subsector, and we sat with the industry experts, and they came up with these 4 clusters: crop product processing, beverage processing, animal product, sugar sweeteners. And within each of these clusters, they identified what are the key occupations. Now, why are we talking about key occupations? Is that occupations which are in demand in the market, which will fetch you job, because you want to choose a career or a job role where the market has those kind of openings available and you can get a job easily, because that is definitely the aspiration of each one of you. So if you see, we started off from level 3, 4, 5. Are you aware of the qualification framework? The National Qualification Framework. Anybody, are you aware of it? No? I'm sure. Is anybody from RP here, Rwanda Polytechnic? Yes? Okay. So you have levels there, right? So I think you might be aware of the levels. But anyway, if you're not, I'm not going to complicate things here. Let's leave out the levels for the moment. But understand that there's a hierarchy. So we go from the lower to the middle level to the higher levels. So if you see a plant worker, receptionist, technician, then processor, then inspector, manager, and then a senior expert. That's how typically there's a hierarchy of occupations. However, you could also move between the clusters, especially if you're in quality assurance or areas which are more broad-based. Thank you, thank you. These are the, again, I don't think let's not get into this, it just might confuse you further. Now this is a beverage processing map, occupational map. So if you see, there are multiple occupations listed that are part of the beverage processing subsector. And for each of these, we picked up one occupation and we described what does a beverage processing worker or an operator will do. What is the job description, the skills required, qualifications, education, training, career pathway, professional development opportunities. Similarly, we picked up each occupation and we developed these different aspects. I see lost faces. Are you with me? Are you able to understand? Is it easy to understand? Do you want me to elaborate on something? Why I'm asking is, this is a workshop where I will become a facilitator and you will be doing the job. You will be working. So it's not a passive workshop, because the occupational profiles will be developed by each one of you sitting here. So you will actually become very active participants in these, in the next 2 hours or so when we develop these profiles. If you have any questions so far? Yes. Remember, you are to develop this now. And I will just walk around.
I have a short question. It's not more focused on the workshop that we are going to do right now. It's more focused on the occupation pathway that you just said. Like, okay, sometimes we do applications to go to apply for scholarships in universities worldwide, and one of the things that they really need a flexible mind, a mind that is not stiff or with this stiff, you understand the meaning, like I'm going to follow this path, because there are a lot of things that are out there that someone can explore, and you find that we did not even get to experience something like it in our high schools. So when you go to the colleges abroad, or even some colleges here in Africa, you get to find a new aspect, and then you go with it, something that is creative, something that you've never seen. And a lot of people tend to get success in it. So I was asking, like, with this, okay, I'm kind of questioning it. Does it really have to become that stiff? Because sometimes in life we meet with a lot of things, and it needs us to be flexible and sometimes move with new things, or get to experience the diversity for us to get a true understanding of what attracts us as a person to get the success.
We are a very smart young man here. Life is a matter of choices that we make. It's never cast in stone. For my own journey, I was a languages person. In school, I used to do very well in languages. And my first choice was taking up language, getting into literature. I did that. But, and we didn't really have career guidance at that point in time. And when I took up literature in my time, I'm talking about the 80s, a long, long time ago, the issue was that if you're a good student, you should get into sciences. Literature was, so they were very different times. I'm talking about a different continent as well. So finally, I got back into science. I studied science, I did my master's. I did decently well there. But when I came to the world of work, somehow I got back to my core competency, which was languages. I started as a writer and an instructional designer. So you see, life took me back to my core competency. But to get there where we want to, you must be able to make informed choices. You can always change wherever you want to be. But if you want to go somewhere, you should know how can you get there, what will take you there. And the career mapping will help you do that. Normally, in an ideal world, the career maps are developed sitting with industry experts. In the room today, we have a slightly different audience. Our target, the group here, I see a lot of young people who may not be really, I'm sure you understand your sector, you might not be industry experts, but within this intelligence that we have within the room, with so many bright young minds, we'll try to do the best that we can with the great this young, vibrant minds that we have. So these are just examples of the occupational maps that we are going to do. We are going to get into a group activity. You're already in your groups, and what we want to do is we will just tell you the rules of the group work. What we will do, now I've taken up example of tourism, but obviously there are different sectors. You can work on your sectors. We will identify key clusters. Now, if that is something difficult for you to identify, because I don't see many industry experts per table, I think we just might skip this step and get on to identifying the key occupations within the cluster. What do you think? How do you want to go about it? What would you prefer? Would you want to prefer to directly jump into the sector and identify the key occupations there? It's your workshop, you have to do it. Tell me how you want to do it. Anybody? Yes, tell me.
to briefly answer your question. I'm sitting at the IT/digital table, and within the sector, first thing for specifically this occupation, I believe it should be treated less like a sector and more like a universal language, because from my personal experience, IT has become something that kind of drives the world. You cannot work, whether it's in agriculture, health, whatever field you're in, you have to be aware of IT. I think it's Kevin, if I'm not wrong, who kept on coming back to this saying we need to be more aware of what's going on in the world. And there's no way to do this than in IT. So to answer your question, it wouldn't be like jumping in, but try to assimilate it within our educational systems from a very young age. So if you see someone learning Swahili in primary 3, 4, there should be like a digital learning class from like P5, P6. Because the reality is, out here, kids are getting phones at a younger age. They're getting access to the internet at a younger age. So let's actually equip them into learning how to get what they want from this digital IT field. That's my personal opinion. Thank you.
Great, thank you, great thought. Obviously, digital skills are across the sectors, but we'll try to identify key occupations there. Shadia. Yes. Okay, so keeping the time in mind, time is not with us. What we'll do is you're already in your groups. We will give you maybe 5 to 7 minutes to brainstorm within your groups. There will be one group lead, and there will be people who can, maybe write the thoughts of the group. So we start now. So please, within your groups, look at what are the key occupations, 8 to 10 occupations that you want to work on. You can pick up maybe 8 because we don't have that much of time. Just write down the names of the occupations and then we will start talking more about it. What are the skills, education levels, what is required. Are we good to go? Are we good to go? Key occupations? 8 to 10 key occupations? Yes. Okay. Are we good to go? Finance. All good here? Okay, start. May I request the CSO team to split up? We have anybody else?
Thank you so much to Rashmi for starting us off. So we're now going to be breaking into the group discussions to focus on the 6 sectors. Please join a group which you feel you fit in. Remember, we have IT, agriculture, health, finance, creative arts, and hospitality and tourism. There's a paper on the table that has a title, just if you need to find your way around. Please, everyone sitting in the back, let's join a group. Feel free to grab a seat if the desk is full. And we're going to be doing rounds to each group to help you come up with these ideas. But as a starter, please just think of, very easily, what are the job avenues available in these sectors? And that's a good starting point. So we're going to do a round to help facilitate these discussions. Thank you and all the best.
Job titles within it are AI specialists, AI analyst, AI expert, and machine learning expert. The one we chose is AI specialist, artificial intelligence specialist. So the key skills within it are research skills, programming skills, critical thinking, communication, creative thinking, and adaptability. The descriptions for this job are generating ideas, data analysis, developing, designing AI solutions, research analysis, search optimization, and data analysis. So the career pathway, firstly, let me talk about the education for it. To be an AI specialist, we have agreed that you need, firstly and foremost, to be, let me call it, very stubborn. Because you have to know math, computer, and actually be able to delve into whatever field or whatever obstacle is going to come. If you look at one of the descriptions I gave, developing and designing AI solutions, these solutions are going to be within every theme, every aspect of the world. So we agree that for a degree, we should at least look for a bachelor in computer science or a bachelor in computer engineering. But then we have another idea that within this current modern world, degrees are usually for proving that you know something. But with AIs, if you have another mean of proof, you don't necessarily need a degree. For instance, if you're good at developing websites, I can just show you guys that I have multiple websites that I've made. Hence, abandoning the traditional 6-7 years curriculum. That's going to literally take most of my life and just end in a cycle of repetition. So, with that being said, I'd like to end on the, where is it? Oh, the career path. We think you should first start as an AI specialist, and with an idea of having or of getting to the head of the AI department, even working within the ministry and becoming a minister within the AI sections, because we believe policies are needed to match hand in hand with AI. Personally, I'm from the law field, so I get most of the policy ideas, because having one thing, having the AI within our systems is one thing. It being protected and it being evaluated, because any opportunity comes with crimes, unfortunately. So there's going to be regulations and so on. So the law system also has to go hand in hand with these digital systems. So as a conclusion, thank you so much for your attention and time. This was the IT Digital Group. Let's all try to learn from artificial intelligence and basically IT in general, because it is the driving force of the modern world. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much for that brief. I think it was very well done, and this was also that you thought the group was thinking differently. You know, not conditioned to think the usual way, but we really liked that approach. Thank you very much. Please write your names on the paper and hand it over. Maybe will you collect the papers? We'll just collect the papers from you.
Thank you so much. My name is Roy. Our sector is the agriculture sector. Our occupation is farm manager, and the description of the occupation is overseeing and coordinating farm activities, labor management, inventory management, quality control and assurance. The skills that we identified the person needed were leadership and management skills, communication skills, financial management skills, monitoring and evaluation, innovation and creativity. Then for the bit of education / training, we identified a bachelor's degree in agriculture and any other related course. And then we as well identified a certificate in project management. Then for the experience, we opted for 3 to 5 years experience working on agriculture-related projects. The employment avenue, we opted for farm management with a special interest in privately owned farms, then a public extension officer, as well as a project manager. Then for professional development opportunities, we identified attending training opportunities, attending of agriculture workshops, and then attending internship opportunities, agri-business-based firms, then also volunteering opportunities in agriculture-based ventures. Thank you.
Excuse me, everyone. As we do the recommendations and reflections on the group discussions, please scan the code that's in front of you. We were hoping to get your contacts so that we're able to share the outcomes of this workshop with you. If you could please scan that and just leave us your contact details. Thank you.
About different occupations. He suggested different occupations in the sector. One of the occupations we said tour guides. We have the financial managers, the travel agents, hotel sales and marketing, the protocol and services, the front office, event managers, and tour experts. So in the interest of time, we have to explain more about the tour guide. What is the role of a tour guide? A tour guide provides the information and interpretations of the figures, the visitors, so that they can come and see, trying to explain them what they are coming to see and show them different areas they can know, have more knowledge about. So what are the skills of a tour guide? To be a successful tour guide, you have to have good communication skills, being able to communicate to the visitors, also having being able to have the knowledge about the geographical areas, and also being able to have good customer care to the visitors. And also, we said on the education, what are the education you need to be a successful tour guide? You have to at least have the lower entry level, the upper level of the secondary, and at least a degree in the tourism sector. The experience, we say that you first have to, for the starters, it's a 6-month training or to 1-year training. So that's what you can say about the tourism sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For finance sector, we choose to start from the common jobs. In banking sector, where we choose about loan officers. Loan officers do require a bachelor degree in finance, management, or related field. There are soft skills required like communication skills, networking, analytical skills, writing skills, and IT skills. For this position, we saw that experience is not required, but some institutions will require experience, but most is not required. So the description for this one is to recruit, receiving clients, and mobilize new clients to get loans from the banks or any other institution that give out loans. And the loan officer will have to analyze loans requests and present them to the committee that has to approve the loan. Then the loan is disbursed so he can do the follow-up with the client. So we choose to go when someone started as an officer can move to another higher level like a manager. But qualifications are almost the same. It requires a master's degree or a bachelor degree in finance, management, economics, or related fields. Experience is also required because this is a higher position than an officer. Some institutions will require like 2 years, 5 years of experience. The manager also requires a leadership skills, critical thinking, and IT skills. He also requires a professional development like CPA or CCA account. He should have or she should have another training. Description for this position is about coordinating, reporting, planning, and managing. The other position we looked for is about a software engineer, where the qualification is about skills, computer programming like Java, Python, CSS, JavaScript. You also require a bachelor degree in computer science or related skills. Description, it is about to build a web, mobile application. All those applications will be used in finance sector because nowadays finance require technologies to be used in every activities. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Let me stand over here so I can see. Okay, so my team and I were discussing the occupational pathway for health, and we came up, interestingly enough, with a lot of fields to begin with, and then we broke it down further into occupation. So first we started with a general doctor describing the number of years one would have to undertake in order to qualify as a qualified general doctor. And so 5 to 7 years was what we stated here, after which internship for 1 to 2 years, followed by a residency program. Secondly, we chose the occupation of a pharmacist. A pharmacist would have to receive at least 5 years of training, followed by internship, and then either delve further into their master's or start practicing. The third option was a clinical researcher, and we realized that there are many pathways to obtain this profession. However, we chose someone who has a bachelor's in public health, after which they would delve into clinical research in a health facility or publish research papers. This was followed by nursing, which also had a training for about 4 to 5 years, followed by internship, and then registration under the necessary regulatory body, of course, which is dependent on the country, and then getting into the workforce. We also appreciated the fact that there are levels to nursing programs, as well as for medical doctors as well. Lastly, we chose a dentist. Again, they would have to train for about 4 to 5 years, which is dependent on the country that they would receive their training from, followed by internship for at least 1 to 2 years, and specialization as per their choice. So a lot of these have either subspecialties or specialties on their own. Thank you so much for your attention and your time.
Excellent, very well done. We'll be collecting the sheets. Please try to write, at least just try to keep your names there. And Shadia.
Thank you all so much. The last man standing, literally. Thank you so much for staying around up to the end of this session and for all the contributions. As we wrap up, please allow me to just invite Mr. Bernard from the Chief Skills Office from the Ministry of Public Service and Labor to close us off and to really express how grateful we are for all your contributions.
Hello, guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's a good evening now. Good evening. How is Rwanda? So we welcome you all to the Youth Connect Summit. Especially we're grateful to have you to this session on the Career Pathways Lab, which we are concluding now. So good evening, and I followed the session. It was really much fruitful to hear from everyone from the starting. We had experts like Mike and Rashmi, And I heard from the group we have some other experts in the respective sectors, the health, the ICT, finance, tourism and hospitality, and the agriculture. Thank you all for joining us to this session. It was really a pleasure to have you in the room. We've dedicated mind to contribute to this pathways assignment. So I acknowledge the dignitaries who have been together. We had the Honorable Minister of Sport and Youth from the Cabo Verde and other honorables. So I appreciate they honored our session. So I'm here standing on behalf of the Chief Security Officer under the Minister of Public Service and Labor, whom couldn't make it, but he sends warm welcome, and he expected to have this fruitful session. As we have engaged in this dynamic and interactive session, it has been inspiring to witness the collaboration and passion that has emerged. Each contribution, whether from industry leaders sharing their insight, or young participants we had in the room expressing their aspiration, has added immense value to our discussion. One of the key elements in shaping successful career is the ability to receive timely and relevant guidance. As we know, the transition from education to employment can be often overwhelming for our young people. Accessing to informed career guidance at critical moment can help them to make a decision, meaning this assignment really aligns with the skills and aspiration. And by equipping our youth with tools and knowledge they need, we empower them to take charge of their own career paths and become active participants in the workforce. So I want to reiterate that this session, of course, with the other sessions we'll be having, as Mike mentioned, we are already have embarked on this kind of assignment in terms of embracing the career guidance policy, but also the strategy. So these selected sectors from which we started defining the pathways really align with the country priority, but also the mandate of the minister I'm representing. So especially in the Vision 2050, the country aspires to continue making essential investment in human capital development, making sure the economic return we are having are backed up by transforming the workforce, but also high-skilled labor force that is gainfully employed. So from this assignment, we can make sure our workforce is guided, but also it will be gainfully employed in the future. This is also aligned to the National Strategy for Transformation, where the skills is a key, but also the employment aspect is also critical, which has to do with the skills gaining. So our aim is to gradually build the insight and profiles created here to map out pathways for all current and emerging sectors. So we are planning to extend this assignment to other sectors. We are having 14 of them. So from these 6 we have started with, we shall make sure we extend the same assignment to make sure we guide the skills set being acquired by our student. We at the Chief Skills Office under the Ministry of Public Service Labor, we are committed to providing to youth with essential information they need to make informed career decision, enabling them to seize the opportunities that await them in our rapidly evolving economy. In close collaboration with all of the stakeholders who have been here, especially you are still in the room, and the private sector, we encourage continuous efforts to be made to offer career guidance, mentorship, reskilling the labor force to ensure that people are matched with the right skills of their labor market. So in this regard, I am excited to share that the Ingazi Career Hub is launching in the near future. So the youth here and the other we know, we can make sure they maximize the use of this Ingazi Career Hub, which will be launched. This innovative platform will serve as a game changer for our youth, offering access to skills training, career opportunities, and invaluable guidance to our youth. Designed as a revolutionary multi-sectoral platform, the Ingazi Hub will ensure that all young people, regardless of their circumstance, have the resources they need to succeed. With the Ingazi Career Hub, we envisage that space where youth can easily connect with opportunities that align with their interest and aspiration. It will facilitate access to training programs, mentorship, career resources, creating a supportive ecosystem for every young person to strive. As we conclude the session, let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration and commitment that we have fostered here today. Together, we can make a profound impact on the lives of our youth, empowering them to navigate their career pathways with confidence and purpose. I thank the contributors and especially those who are still here for your engagement and contribution. And we look forward to seeing the positive outcome from this session and the others to follow in the journey ahead of us as we work together to build a brighter future for young people. I thank you.
I know the tech team is asking me to go up, but I'm afraid this might be easier given the small group we have left. So I'd just like to thank you all so much for sticking around. If you could please scan again, I know the earlier code has had a problem, and we'd like to keep your contacts. You wanna? It's working now. We've just sent a new code. So as we're working on that, please make sure you put in your email addresses. We want to share what came out of this, and we really got more than we expected from you. So we'd like to stay in touch so that we can continue collaborating on this. And thank you so much. Just as we wrap up, to give you a heads up that we have a number of social events taking place. We have a Chillest event happening at Norsken. It's a bit of a connecting and networking event for entrepreneurs and others. And so if you'd like to attend that, please find your way to Norsken in town. We also have a number of other events taking place. There's a reception desk when you enter, just before you enter MH, and you can find more information on other events that are taking place. So with this, I'd like to end our event, and thank you so much for your contributions.